duper's delight, man. I see it all the time, and I'm just like, who's smiling while they're talking about, a tragedy? That kind of, these duper delight folks they're just like, they're really dumb, you would think, for letting it show on their face, but then apparently it's not that big of a deal because it doesn't seem to bother anybody. They're like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about, Karen? They're, they like to show it in, like TV show series, or they'll show it like behind the person's back, that the duper will be like, they show it. And we think this isn't happening in real life. I mean, when did we all, just begin to think that the TV is just fake, it's make-believe, and real life isn't like that? This is what I was told as a child, so then I thought, like, real life isn't like the Brady Bunch, it doesn't all turn out nice at the end of the day, and yeah, but, there seem to be reasonable social lessons in some of these shows in the 70s. But I do see how, although there were obvious, correct social lessons, there was at the same time the sneaking in of bad character behavior, and making it look reasonable, understandable. And sometimes it simply is understandable. Though, and then you'll see the character like do something wrong, and then you see them when they're alone and they're agonizing over it. And you're like, oh man, I know, I can understand. I would feel the same way if I did that. But most often we wouldn't have done the thing that the person did. Although sometimes, like with the kids shows, and it would be little silly things like, oh, I read my sister's diary. And it's terrible. You shouldn't do it, but you didn't kill anybody, you know what I mean? So it's what the TV and the movies, I feel, have done for me to cause harm to me is causing me to see all people as equally self-reflective, equally moral, even if they do these wrong things, that shows the character feeling remorse, even if they don't go back to correct it, because if they did, it'd be like catastrophic, or, So what it does is it gets us to feel empathy and sympathy for the monster, because they did it subtly at first, and then they, with the Brady Bunch, whatever. I can't even think of a Brady Bunch scenario, but something as far as a sibling would do it growing up, and it's terrible, you shouldn't have done that. But it's not like, it's not an unforgivable offense, but they move it on up as you grow up and you're watching more mature material. Is that what it is? That you begin to identify with the criminal. And I noticed that my mom, and I was growing up, and she was always like down for the criminal in the movies because, well, the movies would show that, law enforcement was wrong, and oftentimes today it is. I'm not saying that, but I understood where she was coming from, like, yeah, run, get away, I hope he gets away with that, Mom, whatever it was. But the thing is that it's not that what we're thinking about what we're seeing is wrong for us to feel that way. It's the way that they do it systematically for decades, that you're watching this stuff and you don't realize that it's carrying over into real life, and you are appeasing narcissists. You're allowing because in our mind, unconscious mind, I think we're thinking like the soap opera character that has remorse when they're alone, like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. We think the narcissist is doing that. I don't think we think it consciously. I'm just saying, I feel that we're conditioned by watching these things, to believe that all people like these characters have remorse, and they wish they hadn't have done it, and they're trying to get out of it, and they want to be a better person. That's a big one in like soap operas. I'm trying to be a bit better person, or when in real life, that's not usual. That's not usually what's happening. So that's how we're getting wrecked by the narcs, is we're thinking that they're like these characters that we're seeing in movies or TVs that are, whoops, that shouldn't have, I had to make that decision. It was not black and white, because if I'd have done this, that would have happened, and that would have been worse than what I did over here, and I feel so bad. We think people think this way because we're seeing it so many times in shows and movies for decades of our lives. That's what I'm trying to say. It does not transfer over into real life. These people don't feel remorse. They just don't. So, and they're laughing behind your back. Or not thinking about it at all. They don't give a fuck. What you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about, Karen? Anyway, see you later, YouTube.